During almost 6 months, the attraction all of us love, the Haunted Mansion, transforms into a mixture of Halloween and Christmas, fashioned by the skeletal hands of Jack Skellington himself. This incredible iteration of the attraction will turn 20 years old on October. Some of us, the great Haunted Mansion enthusiasts who wish to make fanfictions about just every prop that rests in the mansion, are curious about how exactly Jack learned about the house, and if he ever knew some of the owners. In this episode, proposed by user Gino Hunter, we'll dive into the history of the Haunted Mansion holiday attraction and the grim grinning ghosts. So relax and reflect. Feel free to take pause as we tell you a tale about dear Sandy Claus. By 1999, the Haunted Mansion was celebrating its 30th anniversary. Up until then, the original house had some minor changes, mostly in the attic, but it used to run all year with the same happy haunt premise. Some Imagineers looking to enhance the Christmas experience in the park were looking at several attractions for some holiday overlays. This mysterious Victorian manor was seriously evaluated, for its time period was an interesting one for Christmas stories. Imagineers first thought of merging Dickens's Christmas Carol, making the ominous Victorian house that of greedy Mr. Scrooge, and include the appearances of the Christmas ghosts of past, present, and future. Yet the New Orleans Square setting did not convince the Imagineers, plus the fact that they wanted to add a Santa Claus at the end of the ride, which if you ask me, it would have been very weird. Back in those days, another team of Imagineers had been working on a permanent, year-round dark ride of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Imagineer Christopher Merritt had been in the developmental stages of this ride, and had planned for it to be in Fantasyland, right next to It's a Small World, where the holiday trees from the film would have stood. The Halloween door would have been in the center and would remain open for guests to enter. Guests would pass through the door and into Halloween Town. The queue's entrance would have been through the cemetery door and into the graveyard, where an incredibly detailed loading area stood. There, emerging from a Jack Skellington-shaped crypt, a flying Santa Claus sleigh would float down with ease to take the guests into a thrilling journey. After boarding, guests would have floated around Halloween Town's main square, where they would have encountered the main inhabitants and Jack himself, possibly singing the This Is Halloween song. The sleigh would have bursted inside the town hall, where Jack would have been presenting his idea for Christmas. We would have exited the town hall through a lateral door and into Sally's cell inside Dr. Finkenstein's tower. From there, we'd go towards the laboratory, where the Doctor and Igor would be giving life to skeletal reindeers. Our sleigh would have floated in the middle of a chaotic electrical bolt-filled scene with the skeletal reindeers awakening around us. Through a round window, we would have then flown into Lock, Shock, and Barrel's home, being ushered by them into the sacrificial trap slide into Oogie Boogie's lair, where Jack and Santa were trapped and trying to escape. Out of mere luck, we would have left the room, where through an angel-shaped tomb, we would have returned to Halloween Town. This time, though, filled with snow as in the movie's final scenes. At the end, we would have encountered Zero and be back in the cemetery at the loading area. The floating sleigh would have been a suspended cart, just like the one in Peter Pan's ride. Merritt's son, or a person who claims to be him, says the attraction was not greenlit because executives thought Nightmare Before Christmas was not going to be as popular as it became. The idea was not wasted though. Some elements, really small ones actually, made its way to a mixture of the Haunted Mansion and the Burton characters, creating the Haunted Mansion Holiday. I mean, I really love Haunted Mansion Holiday, but seriously, look at the scope of this ride. It is truly amazing. I would have preferred a Nightmare Before Christmas ride itself and a year-round haunted mansion with no holiday overlay. Many of you and many fans have actually expressed their dissatisfaction with the fact that during Halloween time, the haunted mansion, the classic one, cannot be visited due to the mostly Christmas-like overlay. I mean, you go there on Halloween and yeah, you see snow. And I agree. Let's hope that in the future the amazing ride opens and the overlay abandons the mansion for good. But for now, I'd rather have this overlay than no Jack at all. But what do you think? Would you want to have a Nightmare Before Christmas attraction? Do write your thoughts at the comment section. So we all know what happened then. The Haunted Mansion Holiday became a real popular ride that opened on October 3rd, 2001. It changed its gingerbread house at the ballroom, and the 2002 version had some, small changes like the Danny Elfman soundtrack replacing the John Debney soundtrack, and the Haunted Mansion Holiday characters at the loading area and some other stuff. So, what is the story of Jack in the Mansion? Well, the official story comes not from Disneyland, California, but from Shanghai Disneyland. In One Ride's Queue, a newspaper with international news from 1932 has a story about a haunted New Orleans estate. A famous plantation home in New Orleans was recently abandoned by its prestigious owners, plagued by a grim past, and a feeling prospective buyers phrased as an uncertain ambience. The New Orleans mansion sold for a fraction of the original asking price. The Johnson family, record owners of the estate, fled when supposed apparitions joined a birthday celebration in the grand ballroom. Eunice, wife of Kelly, owner of the estate, claimed she wasn't even able to extinguish her own birthday candles. She claims an apparition joined her side and selfishly ruined her 29th birthday celebration by blowing all the candles out for her. Furthermore, they claim during a period of 3 to 4 months per year, the supernatural presence is felt with greater severity. During the holiday months, Kelly claims to have witnessed a man adorned with the skinless face. Eunice claims to have seen a translucent dog flying down the hallway. The skinless face fellow is Jack and the translucent dog is Zero. So, previous inhabitants of the mansion have had contact with Jack during his stay at the house. It is also clear the house was already haunted by the time the Johnsons lived there, so Jack does have contact with the ghosts inside the mansion. It's these hauntings and Jack's presence the one that makes the Johnson family abandon the house, and according to the article they are the third to abandon the house after the passing of the original owners. What? So, supposing the Gores are the original owners, we have the Gracies, another family, and the Johnsons living in the house. Who is the middle family then? That seems like an interesting subject for another video. This article is from 1932, so as of the 20th century, the house was inhabited. 30 years before Walt Disney decided to, according to him, bring the house to Disneyland piece by piece. Some say the Jack encounters do not make sense, since the story of Nightmare Before Christmas takes place in 1993 and this article mentions Jack raking the halls in 1936. That would have meant Jack would have had his existential crisis in 1936 before the film events, and so yeah, that doesn't make sense. Still, this is canon since it is made by Walt Disney Imagineering, so Jack has known mansion residents both death and living. But what do you think? I always wonder, what happened to Constance during the holidays? I mean, we do see the Hatbug's ghost, but we do not see Constance, nor her portraits, nor any of her objects, like she, disappeared. I know this must be for some technical issues, but let's try to be creative for a while. Why do you think Constance disappears? from the mansion during Haunted Mansion holiday? Is she afraid of the snake? Is she afraid of Jack? Or does she simply take some holiday time off? I would really like to hear your story. That'd be interesting. I have another doubt too. What does Jack think of the mansion? How did he heard about it? What do you think? I searched for fan fictions about Jack Skellington in the mansion. Believe me when I tell you they were hard to find. I read them and I think none of them are really noteworthy. One of them just clearly establishes that a raven, and that could be the Haunted Mansion's raven, travels to Halloween Town to invite Jack to wreck the halls. When the letter arrives, Jack decides to go and wreck the halls since the ghosts are inviting. So, I didn't quite find it interesting. I'm sorry. But if you do know an interesting Jack Skellington and Haunted Mansion fanfiction, I would like to read it in the comments. But before leaving, be sure to like and subscribe, and also let me know which other characters from the mansion would you like to hear about. If you want to know more about the Scraped Nightmare Before Christmas attraction, visit the Disney More blogspot for more information. That's where I found the amazing concept art for this ride's layout. This has been all for this time. I'll see you all a little later.